Sorry I couldn't be here today. I told you I have kids that get sick a lot. I hope you remember everything I said about my expectations whenever we have a sub. If you get in trouble with a sub here, it's going to be double trouble when I get back. If a sub leaves me your name, then you are going to have lunch detention. If a sub tells me your class was horrible, then there will be no Fun Friday. But on the flip side of that, if you do awesome and your classes do awesome, there will definitely be some kind of reward. So just keep that in mind today, that it's not a crazy day. It's not a day where we're not having class. You might as well pretend that I'm in the room, because whatever goes on, I'm going to find out about it. And we have stuff to learn. So I want you to get this sheet in front of you. It says multiply fractions. Y'all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this video is going to be rough, but we're going to try. Trying to wait a few minutes so everybody's looking at it. Feel free to pause the video if you need to let the kids catch up. Alright, so when we're looking at multiplying fractions, don't worry, it's pretty simple, especially compared to what we've been doing. We're actually going to ignore this top part for a second, and we're going to look at the bottom, because I like for us to model this before we actually work it out. So it says 2/5, and if you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 different sections represented here, and we want 2 of them. So I want you to choose a color. You can use one of the markers, you can use a crayon, or a colored pencil. Go ahead and grab 2 colors now, because you're going to need 2. Alright, so we should have 2 colors. So I'm going to get my first color, where it says 2/5, I'm actually going to color in 2 of those sections. That is 2 out of the 5. Now you're going to switch to a different color. And on our 3/4, you can see this is split up into 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 sections. I'm going to color in 3 of those, because this is 3/4. That means 3 out of the 4. Make sure you're doing everything along with me. No one should just be sitting there. These are your notes. Okay, so I've represented 2/5. I've represented 3/4. Now we're going to see what happens when we multiply them. So if you see, there are a ton more lines here, and what they did was just combine these 2 representations. So if you look vertically here compared to here, there's still 5 columns vertically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look horizontally and you compare the 4s to here, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4. So they just like cross these together. We're going to color this in exactly the same way we did before. So I'm going to go to this and color in the equivalent of 2/5, which is still 2 of those vertical rows. But then on the same diagram, because we're multiplying these 2 together, I'm now going to color in 3 of the 4, just like here. And you're actually going to color over your first one. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So in this representation, I have multiplied the 2/5 by the 3/4, and this is what happens when they come together. To get the product, you're going to count how many are both colors. So I don't want these that are just pink. I don't want these that are just green. I'm counting this kind of mixed up region where they crossed, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6 that have both colors. But now I need to know how many there are in total, because we're not talking about 5ths or 4ths anymore. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I add 4 this way and 5 this way, which makes 20 in total. So 6 out of 20 were shaded, and then we have to ask ourselves the question, can I make it smaller? Yes, you can. Those are both even numbers. Y'all, I forgot how to write a division sign. So you need to divide by 2 on the top and bottom to simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 3 is a prime number, so we're not simplifying this any further. And I've got 3/10. So that's what it looks like with a model. Now get a pencil, come up to the top, because we're going to see now how to get this mathematically so that we don't have to draw and color the pretty models every time. So under step 1, it says multiply the, you're going to write numerators. Multiply the numerators. When we're talking about fractions, the numerators are the numbers on top. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Multiply the numerators. 2 times 3 is 6. Awesome. Step 2. Multiply the denominators. The denominators are the numbers on the bottom. 5 times 4 is 20. Now freeze, and let's take a second to look at that and how it compares. Whenever we mixed our fifths and our fourths, it gave us 20 sections. And whenever we multiplied our 2 fifths times our 3 fourths, that gave us the 6. So that's how this mathematical process relates to the models. But just like before, we're never going to accept a fraction that has even numbers on the top and the bottom. So when we divide by 2, that's where you get the 3/10, which is that step 3, simplify. I'm so used to simplifying, I did it without even filling in the steps. So when you're multiplying just a fraction by a fraction, that's it. You just have to multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms and then simplify. So we've used all our fancy math language now. One way that I like to remember this is top times top, bottom times bottom. So feel free to write that on the top of your notes if it helps you remember. Okay, what you're going to do now, so you can see how there's a line and this is kind of split in half. You're going to pick up the bottom of your paper, fold it up to the top. Fold it. See my great folding? So I just folded it. It goes like this, and I folded it. Now I'm going to turn it. And then we're going to try this. I want you to try to draw a model for 1/2 times 2/3. So write that on the back. And I'll even help you out by showing you what this would look like. I'm going to split this one in 2. Since 2 is my denominator, I'm going to have 2. I'm going to make another box of the same size. Because I did this line horizontally, I've got to make these vertically. It doesn't matter which order you're doing them, but one has to be vertical, one horizontal, so that you can cross them. So this needs to be split up into 3/3. So whenever you finish your shading, you mix these together, you put your half in, and then do your thirds. And then you'll shade that in and find your product. Please feel free to pause this video to give the kids time to try to do this on their own. Alright, so here's what this should have looked like. Your 1/2, I would color in 1, 2/3, 2. And then when they cross, I'm going to color them exactly the same, but they're going to overlap. And I can see that 2 of my squares are both colored in, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares in all. I never accept a fraction with 2 even numbers, so I divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my answer was 1/3. And now go back and check yourself. Do the actual operation. 1/2 times 2/3. My numerator times my numerator. Top times top. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Notice how we get the same thing as with our model. And then again, you would just need to simplify. Alright, I hope you followed along and did a great job taking your notes for that. I'm going to ask the substitute to pick these up so I can keep up with them and we don't lose them, and we'll put them in our journals tomorrow. So these need to go to the substitute, and then she's going to have something else for you to work on to practice the skill. Hope y'all are having a great day. Please hold it down for me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!